So to bring up another sort of hot topic, you have the premium publisher versus the networks and exchanges tension that we deal with. And if we get to a point where there's mass adoption of these various units, won't that mass adoption just cause an acceleration in the decline of CPMs for richer advertising? How do you address those concerns that may be out there?
You want to take it, Keri?
I think it is a concern, but personally, from my vantage point, I actually encourage it because I think it's something that will actually enforce innovation in the industry, and by all parties, the agencies, the publishers, our marketers. So I think inherently there will be an element that when you move into the exchange, there will be that kind of bucket of inventory that does become more efficient and therefore drive CPMs. But on the flip side, if as the exchanges fill up, we also might see the CPMs rise because there might be more competition against that inventory. So I think it's too early to tell, but the bigger thing that I'm more excited about is the potential innovation that sits outside of the exchange.
If brand dollars enter this equation, then I think all bets are off in terms of the inventory discussion, because we're talking about a lot of advertisers and dollars sitting on the sidelines right now.
I agree completely. I do believe that a rising tide will lift all boats, and then the competition for dollars will go to the quality content where it should always go. Now we have too many supply chain issues which are inhibiting dollars coming on, or which are directing dollars in ways which are, from a quality perspective, and remember, brand advertisers want their content next to quality, are inefficient. So rising tides lift all boats, and then let's let the quality of the content fight it out.
I also think it leaves room for more unique deals to arise. So, you look at the example where our companies are working together with AT&T has sponsored a program called Your Highlight in conjunction with YouTube and ESPN. And it's essentially a curation or a crowdsource for the amateur clip that is, the best. And every week on SportsCenter AM, 3 of those videos are highlighted where the announcer actually pushes the traffic back to YouTube to get more submissions. And where I'm going with this is 2 companies at the sales executive level that are working together and driving additional value for their customers, and it's going incredibly well. And I actually think it leaves more room for that creative type deal structure and thought process, not just at the ad unit level, but at the overall value chain. So.
Cool. I think if I could just add to that
please.
For 1 second. So when the good folks at Google presented at Mix their sort of strategy for display in the future, they noted that last year, only 6% of all ads served, display ads served, were rich media ads. And so I really view this 6% versus 94% without rich media as I call it the third world of the advertising planet. You've got the haves, the 6% that get the money, get the customization, are really fantastic. And then you've got the 94%, which are the have-nots. And so our objective at the IAB is to open up a middle class of standard rich media units that if we get, I'm not suggesting that it goes to 100%, but gosh, if we got 20% and opened up that middle class, I think that'd be fantastic. There will always be that 6% of custom programs, which is where you guys differentiate yourself, quite frankly, and I hope that grows as well. But the notion here is let's develop the middle class. It will give everybody more time to focus on the high end.
So how do you think, I mean, that's a good point. There, you have this issue of scale with these new formats, and when we were dealing with prior ad formats, it seemed like selection of those formats was really driven based on what already had scale in the marketplace. How do you think we are going to achieve scale and push for scale with these new types of formats, whether it be Rising Stars or some other format?
I think there are probably two ways. One is that they're going to work, and they'll be tested over 2011. And if they work for publishers to increase CPMs, and they work for the industry to increase dollars coming in, and they work, obviously, for the marketers in terms of effectiveness, that'll be fantastic. In addition, the marketing community and their agencies in particular need to find these sexy and create things that get talked about, because the advertising agencies love nothing more than to do cool things that get talked about and awarded. And hopefully those two things, the effectiveness and the sex appeal, will drive adoption.
So,
David, you're a creative director. You're all about sexiness.
I think that's true. I think also what's important is, some of the things that we've talked about in just our preliminary meetings in Rising Stars before we put out and launched the program was, where are there opportunities to think about this in terms of how the advertising integrates within the page itself. And obviously that's not totally within our purview, and that's really more in your purview, but we're hoping that we can bring ideas to the table that will be of benefit to drive the value of this, so that the CPMs are higher on these placements, and that they are of value to both the advertiser and to the publisher.
Why is consumer choice important? Why is that it seems like that's referenced fairly regularly with new ad units. What's valuable about that in the presentation of the ad?
I think very simply put, what we see is that when the user wins, everybody wins. More videos get watched, more content gets uploaded, more clicks happen, more shares, more Facebook integrations. Essentially every metric increases when someone has opt-in to the view or the experience.
With consumer choice, you see top-of-mind awareness, you see purchase intent increase significantly. So if we're looking at trying to increase CPMs, if we're looking at trying to get brand marketers to put their dollars here, we need to give everything we can to raise the mark on how people respond to the advertising.
And I think the mecca of it all is when you combine consumer choice with what you actually know about the consumer. So when you immediately, when you're serving 3 great ads that you already know are relevant, and then you let the user choose because of a certain mindset or context they're in. So it's really the combination, I think, of the data plus the choice that actually is going to drive even further results.